All right. Let's get fired up here.
Maximum freedom. Read.
Stay on target.
Maximum freedom.
Stay on target.
Maximum freedom. Read Rothbard.
Hello and welcome to the very next episode of the Actual Anarchy podcast. We're coming at you with actualanarchy.com/28. This is the 28th episode. It's going to be about The Dark Knight in honor of Adam West, the Batman actor who recently died at the age of 88. We're going to have a special guest with us today, but first let's say hello to Robert. How you doing, Robert?
Hey, everybody. I'm back doing the thing, talking about stuff on the podcast with my bud. Doing man. Yeah, it's real sad about Adam West. He was a legend, not the first Batman, but probably the real one that popularized him first. And he just had a really cool attitude about it throughout his entire career, did all kinds of cool stuff, and he'll be missed.
Yeah, KAPOW, Zowie, Zap, with his campy 60s style Batman. So we have a special guest, like I was saying, and he comes to us from Adelaide, Australia. We bumped into each other on the Twitter, and he said, hey, I want to be a guest. So let's welcome our guest, Shahin Mohammadi. How are you doing?
Pretty good, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Why don't you just introduce yourself to our audience and then maybe throw out your Twitter handle in case anyone wants to follow you on there.
All right. Well, I'm a student in Australia, go to a cancerous SJW university, and, well, I was always a contrarian. I always hated the mainstream. So I started studying economics, getting myself concerned with liberty, and just eventually became an ANCAP throughout the study of Hazlitt, Mises, Rothbard, and a few podcasts here or there.
Yeah, in the pre-show you were mentioning that you listen to Tom Woods as well?
Oh, yeah, Tom Woods, Stephen Molyneux.
Yeah, very good. Many of our guests have come from the Tom Woods group, so if you're not a member of that already, I highly recommend it. Robert just joined it as well, and I think the lowest price to get in is $5 a month. And he's got
that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a private Facebook group, and there's about 1,000 people. Very similar mindset, and it's one of the only reasons I still go on Facebook.
Yeah,
because otherwise it's SJW Central.
Oh yeah, it's crazy how clueless everyone really is on Facebook. I see someone like once every 100 posts, someone puts something political, and it's only half the story, and it's so stupid what they write. It's just lefty stuff. And like if I want to, I could just go in there and type a 20-page essay on why they're wrong, why they should have a more of explain an ANCAP position. But I'm like, yeah, screw that. Can't be stuff.
Yeah, they won't hear it, and you'll just get vitriol from the left for it.
Yeah, I'll be called a sexist for some reason.
Racist, whatever. And that you're exactly right. It would take probably 10 or 20 times the effort to refute their incorrect statement. But because it takes so much more effort to refute them, it's like almost impossible to get them to listen to it.
Yeah.
We need those bumper stickers.
It requires them to start grinding their gears. Something the left doesn't really do. It's just, we feel this, let's do that. We feel this, let's do that.
Yeah. What really grinds my gears?
Yeah.
The left. And that's actually fitting because that's Peter from Family Guy, and Adam West, who played Batman, also played himself in Family Guy. Isn't that right, Robert?
That's right.
Yeah, he was the mayor. As the crazy, insane mayor. He was absolutely brilliant.
But the mayor, Adam West, like it was actually him, and referred to himself as Adam West. And he had a great sense of humor, self-deprecating, very funny.
Yeah.
So he was
I was going to say this. I just hate Brian so much.
Oh, the dog?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's totally an SJW. He's totally like that intellectual, smug, left liberal.
The
thinks
fake
he knows
intellectual.
everything.
Oh, we've got so many of them from my high school. We have a bunch of them who act really posh, like, oh, and they try to... I was explaining to him how minimum wage causes more unemployment and increases the prices of items. He was like, you don't have any detail in your analysis. It's almost inaccurate. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yep. Yeah. What's your data set? What experiments did you guys run?
Yeah.
It's not even about that. You got to just understand the theory.
Exactly.
Logic.
And it's like saying, I need a scientific analysis to show me that the grass is green.
Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes you don't need one. Sometimes you just look at it and it's there.
Yeah, but they can't see it. It's amazing.
And even with an analysis, they still wouldn't believe it because there's another fake analysis somewhere that says, see, Obama created more jobs, even though he decreased job hours. Like one 40-hour job became two 20-hour jobs.
Right. Yep.
Increased jobs.
Or like a third of them were government jobs. So those don't really count.
They're parasitic.
Yep. And one thing I've always wondered is, why does somebody who gets a government paycheck then pay taxes? Are they just making a bunch of extra work by having to do that? Why don't you just pay them less?
Yeah.
Or not at all? That's a solution. Don't pay them at all.
Get rid of the job completely.
Yeah, I mean, all they're doing is going around screwing everything up for everyone else.
Yeah.
But that would reduce the bureaucracy, Daniel, and that's one thing government does not do. It's not built that way. It's only built to increase the bureaucracy and maintain the bureaucracy. So
it is the Borg. It's a cancerous Borg. That's what they are. Yeah. So hey, let's start talking about Batman, and then we can start getting into this movie. So, Shahin, you had said that you wanted to talk about Batman, the character, just in general before we get going. So, what do you got in your notes there?
Well, Batman is definitely not anti-violence, but he's against violence against innocence. So he will attack people and beat them into a bloody pulp if they're already criminals, if they've already initiated violence against people. And he usually captures people who are the criminals of violent crimes. Like, Batman is not going to smash through someone's roof because they didn't pay their taxes.
Right, so he doesn't address a peaceful people like taxation is. He's there protecting people, coming to the aid of others, or seeking retribution or recompense for people who've been wronged.
I mean, for the most part, it depends on who's handling him, who's writing him, because you will see issues of the comic where he'll go after like a drug dealer or whatnot. But then the writer's always usually pretty careful about showing that he's not just a drug dealer; he's also like a violent drug dealer,
a murderer as well. Yeah.
Right. He's not just a drug dealer.
And that's something that I've always had a problem with. Like, I'm fine with drug dealers, and if someone deals drugs, it's their business, it's a victimless crime. But if they start doing violence, they start having stabbings and killings and threats and everything, then they're a criminal, and not because of the drug, but because of the other act.
Right. I'm with you. Although I would say that government removes the ability for drug dealers and those engaged in quote-unquote illegal activity to resolve their disputes in the court system because it's quote-unquote illegal. So you can't. So you're kind of refused. You're forced to have some sort of black market solution to your problem solving. And you're right. They do tend to.
And sometimes it's easier just to kill the guy.
Right. It's true. And it also attracts people that are, quick profits, high risk.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is it another key, like, prime directive of Batman is that he won't kill?
Yeah. That's something else. I always thought he's anti-gun, but that's a personal choice. But he's not anti-self-defense otherwise, or anti-violence, because he wouldn't go train with ninjas for 7 years if he didn't want to hurt anyone or defend himself. He wouldn't have a armored tank car with, I don't know, like missiles attached to it if he wasn't going to attack it.
Cannons on it. Yeah, he has guns. He's got plenty of.
He just doesn't like personal guns because that's how his parents were killed.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, that was a very traumatic experience with a gun being involved.
It does matter. Sorry, but it does matter who's handling Batman at the time, like Zack Snyder or director of Batman '89.
Tim Burton.
Batman, he'll murder all kinds of people in those things. So I think that's the director and the writer of those things, not necessarily understanding who Batman is. In the comic books, he's long been known as the guy who won't kill, and he won't use a gun for personal reasons. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think this movie, Dark Knight, is sort of playing on the Batman who won't cross that barrier of committing a murder. Right. Yeah. The Joker makes reference to that quite a bit in this film. And I just want to mention for our Patreon supporters to have access to this video, I'm rocking my Batman shirt today. So you can see video of that with me and with Shahin talking. We're both on the webcam. Robert's on the phone, so sorry, man. Your screen turns black when you're talking.
They have to go on Patreon. I mean, you have to see this. I mean, that just makes it worth it, that Batman shirt, seeing that Batman shirt. Yeah,
it's
get on
so
Patreon,
good.
Guys.
Thanks for the plug. All good. So, you got anything else just on Batman, the character? Maybe the Adam West edition of him?
I always thought the Adam West edition was like a joking type of Batman. I really enjoyed the series. I watched the movie that they had and some of the series, but overall I think it's more of a joke series. Because the comics around that time were, people complained that the comics were too violent, and so it was politically correct to have comics be all jokey, so like the Joker wouldn't kill anyone. In that, it was, I think it's the Silver Age of comics. In those issues of Batman, the 1966 version, Joker and the gang, they didn't want to kill anyone. It was just like a huge prank or a big game for them. It's only the older, really old comics and the newer ones that have become increasingly violent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, is the movie version, is that the one where he's flying over the ocean in a helicopter and there's a shark that's like trying to come up?
Yeah. And he gets the bat and the shark repellent bat spray.
Yeah, the shark repellent. That's right.
And he's like surfing, right? He's like on his bat surfboard.
And then he goes dancing like this.
And is this also the one I've seen this GIF of Batman
with
carrying this the big bomb?
Yeah, that was it.
And he's like
everywhere
he'd go.
Yeah,
there's
like people everywhere he goes.
There's
a guy playing a trumpet. There's like a band just walking through.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, they were definitely playing up the camp angle back then. And he's a good sport, Adam West. So cheers to you, Adam West. And shall we move into the movie? You guys ready for that?
Yeah. So Daniel, why don't you get into who made this movie and what's the trilogy, and then get into the Google description.
All right. So this is the most recent reboot. Well, I guess not the most recent at this point, but this was a recent modern era reboot. This started with Batman Begins by Christopher Nolan, who's very well known for doing Memento and doing Inception and a few other mind-bending type movies. And he brings his tricks of the trade to the Batman franchise. Again, with Batman Begins in 2005, The Dark Knight, the movie we're going to talk about today, in 2008, with a very, very chilling performance by Heath Ledger right before he died. And then it ends the trilogy with The Dark Knight Rises, which I actually haven't even seen yet. But that one has Bane, and from what I understand, it had so much to live up to try to follow up this one, The Dark Knight, because The Dark Knight was really well received. It's a really well done movie. It made all sorts of top 10 lists. Some people have called it like, one of the top 10 movies ever made. It was one of the first movies to cross the $1 billion at the box office. And it's got a lot going on. So I hope that we can do it some justice in talking about it today on our show. So I can read the Google stuff if you guys want, unless you got any other points to make at this point, Robert.
Do it.
All right, going to the Google. So The Dark Knight 2008, crime film drama, 2.5 hours. It has a 94% Rotten Tomatoes, 97% of Google users like it. Mikey likes it from Life Serial, and it says, with the help of allies Lieutenant Jim Gordon, played by Gary Oldman, and DA Harvey Dent, played by Aaron Eckhart, Batman, Christian Bale, has been able to keep a tight lid on crime in Gotham City. But when a vile young criminal calling himself the Joker, played by Heath Ledger, suddenly throws the town into chaos, the Caped Crusader begins to tread a fine line between heroism and vigilantism. And that's what it says.
Can't complain too much about that description. I mean, they can't say too many plot points or anything. So, yeah, right on.
Yeah, I'm amazed they got that much in such a short little statement. But, yeah, it's pretty much correct. Some of the other shows we've done recently, we've read the Google description. It's been so wrong, so comically wrong that we get a little laugh out of it, and it's kind of become a trope that we do. But it didn't work out for us on this one. It kind of backfired. That's okay. Hey, one other thing I wanted to mention is in the last episode we did, we've tried to come up with an overall review, a way of reviewing. So like, some people do thumbs up, thumbs down, 3 stars, 4 stars, 5 stars. Mr. Sunday Movies, he's also Australian, is that right, Robert?
Yeah, I've seen a bit of him.
Yeah, so they do best movie ever, worst movie ever. And so we borrowed that for one of our recent shows, but then for Finding Nemo, we're like, well, what if we do our, ANCAP colors, like black and gold? So is it a black movie? Is it a gold movie? As far as like a rating, like, so it's sort of like best movie ever would be gold and worst movie ever would be black, or vice versa.
You should do best movie ever black and gold, worst movie ever black and red.
That's nice. I like that.
Okay. All right. let's do that. So at the end of our conversation, we'll get an overall impression of the movie, and we'll ask you for your review. Best movie ever, black and gold. Worst movie ever, black and red. All right, so just setting you up for that. So that was the Google stuff and how we're going to review it. Robert, do you have a first scene that you want to start talking about?
Well, we can just start off at the start. In the very beginning is a bank robbery perpetrated by the Joker and his gang, short-lived gang. And Shahin had an interesting point about this. I don't have a whole lot to say in this opening scene other than he set it up so that the men are working in pairs as they're robbing the bank, and then once their portion of the robbery is over, he has one kill the other until it gets down to the point where he's just killing one person, and then he makes off with all the money all by himself. But Shahin had an interesting point, so why don't you make that one?
I thought that this Joker was the leader of the Joker party, as in the Communist Party, and so the one on top, which is Joker himself, thrives while everyone else on the bottom just suffers. All the workers for his party, the useful idiots, all just suffer, while Joker himself just takes the gold. Which
is what always happens in communist countries. And I know Ancom claimed that communist countries isn't true communism, but...
I had that so many times. Venezuela stopped being communist when it started failing. That's how it happens.
Right. So, Daniel, do you have anything to say on that, or should we move on? Daniel?
I do. I had muted myself for a moment there. My point with this scene where they're all killing each other off was that a point you've made many times with politicians is that you know that they're liars, so you can't trust them. So these guys are already doing a criminal act, and there's really no honor among thieves, so they shouldn't be surprised when something like this happens, right?
Right, yeah, you're going into it knowing that you're dealing with people who are used to killing and using violence to solve problems and threatening people with weapons, so why would you be surprised when they turn on you or use violence against you? It's kind of silly.
Right, and it reminds me of that scenario that our mutual friend likes to make, like somebody has a gun to your head or your wife's head or something, and they offer you this choice or something. So you tell it, because you do it better than I'm recalling it.
Well, I'll give the brief version of that story, because, that came out of a long conversation, but basically his argument was, you don't have a choice. You need to negotiate with somebody who is broken into your home and is threatening the life of your family, because the person is like, well, if you cooperate, I won't kill anybody, or if you cooperate, I'll only kill one of you instead of the whole family. Well, you're already dealing with somebody who is using violence and is threatening you, and you have no reason to believe that he's also just happens to be an honest, trustworthy individual. Why would you, someone breaks into your home, and then you go, well, he'd break into my home, but he wouldn't lie to me. I mean, that's just ridiculous. So, at that point, my argument was, you have to fight. You've got to fight this guy.
Yeah, shoot him.
Our friend's argument was, well, no, you got to negotiate and just hope that he honors whatever bargain you strike with him, which is just fanciful and some sort of utopian belief. I don't even understand it.
Something I can add, it will be a lot harder to fight him if you have your gun locked up in a safe and the bullet's in another safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
Robert, wasn't this whole discussion, now it's coming back to me, wasn't it based on his aversion for guns? So he was basically saying he didn't want to have a gun, and you were saying, well, what if somebody broke in your house? You'd want to be able to defend yourself. He's like, no, I'd want to negotiate with them and
call the cops, whatever. And that's why we have cops.
But what if it's the cops who are in your house?
Right, yeah.
Well, then it's game over, man, whether you got a gun or not.
No, I guess. I'll get SWAT teams to come. Hopefully then you can get Batman to come take him down.
Yeah, right.
Like he does in this movie.
Yeah, exactly. That was probably my favorite scene. We'll get on to that one later.
Yep. Okay, so right after that, there's a short little scene where we get introduced to the police department, and I don't want to make a big deal out of it, but there's a kind of a cute little scene or a shot where there's one cop talks to another cop and like, how's the investigation going, because they're trying to find out who Batman is, and they show a quick shot of the list of suspects, which are just pictures, and there's one of Liberace, one of Abraham Lincoln, and one of Bigfoot. And I don't know if that's like an incompetent police argument or just how good and sneaky Batman is, but
definitely incompetent police.
Yeah.
Incompetent police is a running trope through all superhero movies. It's incompetent government and police.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Which is actually, yeah.
Otherwise, you wouldn't need the superhero, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So the next
Speaking
scene.
of, yeah.
Oh, go ahead. You got something to say?
Speaking from that scene, that introduces us to Harvey Dent,
Oh, yeah.
who is the new district attorney and tries to put thugs away. He's good intentioned, but he's part of the government, so you don't know if his system will work or not, especially with what happens to him later as well, and how easily it's possible for everything that he's doing to be undone.
Yeah, that's like the entire plot of the movie is just how...
That's the ending part.
At one point he arrests like over 400 mobsters, and if anything were to be found out about him personally...
they would all be released, just as the flaws of the justice system. And that's why Batman takes the fall at the end.
Exactly. But we are getting ahead of ourselves. Okay, so the next scene is like a drug deal that's going down, and we get introduced to a couple of players that are going to be in the movie, and then we're also get introduced to some of these fake Batmen. And I think there's kind of an interesting... Yes, there's an interesting argument that happens between like these Chechen guys or whatever they happen to be and the Scarecrow. And the Chechens are upset about the drugs that they purchased from the Scarecrow, and he brought like one of his customers to this drug deal, and he's like, look at what your drugs did to my customers. And the Scarecrow's like, whatever, man, buyer beware. I told you my drugs would take you places. I never said they would be places you would want to go. And the Russian, or I guess Chechen, whatever Russian guy is like, these are repeat customers. So I think it's cute that, at least you realize that he's, a small business owner, essentially, and he's got customers he needs to satisfy, and he's dealing with a supplier, and the product wasn't so good, so he's come to complain, essentially. Whereas the Scarecrow is like, hey, the responsibility is on you to purchase product that your customers are going to enjoy or not, and we don't get to find out if there was any fraud involved on the Scarecrow's part. Probably assume there probably was, but we don't know.
I would agree with you. I would assume that the Scarecrow wasn't transparent in what he was selling.
Yeah, probably not. Because, in the previous movie, there's a big
Scarecrow was the main villain there.
Yeah, and he gasses. His whole plan is to gas everybody in Gotham City with some fear toxin.
Not Nazi style, but different kind of gas.
Right. And then Batman just stumbles onto the scene. He comes firing on. First the fake Batman attack, and they're like dressed up in like hockey pads and like have shotguns and stuff. Yeah. But then the tumbler comes crashing in, and this is like a very property damagey Batman, because he runs over these cars that are parked, and then there's an automatic missile firing that says that it's set to intimidate, so it shoots some missiles and blows up some more property. Did either of you have an issue with that? Because that didn't seem like it was necessary.
Yeah,
I think it violates
the people there, the people who started shooting at his property, the tumbler.
Yeah, I think this Batman is violating a lot of people's private property for sure. And for a guy who they make a big point about him not being willing to take a life, not killing or murdering, I think that he is very haphazard with his use of weapons when it comes to making his way through parking garages and streets. I can only imagine if, of course it's a movie, it's not real, but if somebody were to have done this in real life, you would have killed a bunch of people just blowing all these cars up.
Right. And another issue I had with that scene was when he ties up, like when the scene's all over, he ties up the Scarecrow, which I'm fine with. But then he ties up the other Batman guys, and they're like, what gives you the right? What's the difference between you and me? And he says, well, I'm not wearing hockey pads. That's fine, whatever, but that doesn't give you the right to tie them up as if they'd done something wrong. Now, in my opinion, I think they're the ones that initiated it. Are the Batman?
They're the ones that started shooting, yeah.
Okay, well then, maybe I'm wrong. If they're the ones that started shooting first, then they're going to escalate.
And the Batmen are released afterwards anyway.
Oh, okay. Aren't
they? Because then the Joker kills one of them.
Yeah, tortures him.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Yeah, I wonder if it is because those copy bats were initiating violence against these peaceful drug dealers because they were just minding their own business, doing a drug deal, right, or having a customer complaint situation, and then all of a sudden some dude wearing hockey pads starts shooting at him. So maybe Batman was correct in that these guys were being vigilantes, but that's not the problem. The problem is they were initiating the violence.
Could be.
Another thing that we could say is that Scarecrow should have been taken down. I mean, for the other crimes that they were doing, because the Russian guy, I think, I forgot his name, wasn't he a mobster as well?
Yeah.
Well, Scarecrow did all the bad things in Batman Begins.
Right.
He doesn't just get a get out of jail free card. I mean, maybe they were doing the right thing by trying to get these two.
Right, yeah, the fake Batman guys, they could have been, trying to capture them for some previous deed that we aren't seen or from the previous movie, absolutely.
Yeah, that is a question I have, is that there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of continuity between Batman Begins and Dark Knight. Like, whatever happened to Ra's al Ghul and all of that storyline?
No, that comes back in Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, okay.
The whole League of Assassins.
All right, I'm skipping. I haven't gotten there yet, so I missed it. Okay. I'll cut this part out then, so I don't sound so stupid.
Like, Bane's actually a member of the League of Assassins in Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, okay. Oh. Does that make it any better for you, Robert? Did you like that movie, the new one?
I remember not hating it when I first saw it, and then liking it less when I saw it the second time, but I haven't seen it in so long that I would have to watch it. I remember there being quite a few weird things that I didn't necessarily like, especially having to do with that prison that he gets put in, but, whatever. I'll have to rewatch it.
All right. Well, maybe that's one we can do at some point in the future if you think it's worth doing again.
Could be.
I'll be glad to come back on for that.
Sweet.
He's already in, folks. He's already agreed to come back.
Just need to sign a contract now. Do all Batman movies.
Verbal contract. Binding.
Perfect. All right, so let's go on to the next scene where they're going into the Batman office, which is hiding beneath a shipping container. And I don't know if you know this, Shahin, but this is a shipping container behind me. I'm contained within one.
Very nice.
There is no bat layer underneath, though.
Oh, that's disappointing.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But in every other respect, you're just like Batman.
Well, I am wearing the emblem, and my daughter, she loves Batman, and it's mostly because of this dress she had that had a Batman logo on it, but in like this hot pink and a tutu on it and all this stuff. So, and sparkles. And so now whenever she sees that color, that really hot pink, she calls it Batman pink. So now, she's going to say that, like, on her first date, like, oh, that's Batman pink. Some boy, when she's like 16, he's going to be like, what the this is crazy ANCAP girl who doesn't know colors.
Well, the only colors she really needs to know is just the black and yellow combination.
That's right. And actually, that I was telling you before the show that I have a new mic coming in. It's the black and gold or black and yellow. And my daughter, I showed it to her, and she was like, she approved. She gave me the thumbs up on it.
Very good.
So she's a fan. She'll fly the black and gold.
Have you started indoctrinating her yet? Or starting teaching her economics at age 3?
We do, yeah. We talk non-aggression principle. We have 2 daughters now. So there's a big, like, you can't hit this one, she can't hit you. In our last episode, she's tried to figure out how to get around the NAP. So she'll say, hey, hit me to the little one. And then when the little one hits her, then she hits her back and is like, all right, now I can hit her. But we've had to tell her, no, if you invite the aggression
the
or
violence, you can't hit back. Unless you agree to a duel.
Right, yeah. But it's not like the 2-year-old is really able to comprehend the decision or give consent. I think there's a sliding scale there.
No way.
Yeah, it's not like they're doing an MMA fight.
Yeah. You get and what's it called? An octaring?
Octagon.
Octagon.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get one of them. Like, instead of a crib, you get a small one of them. Just have a fight in there.
I did just readjust all the gates in the house because we used to have it around the fireplace, and now because it's summertime here, we don't have to have that up. So now I have all these extra sections. I could make an octagon and put the kids in there and say, fight.
Put it on YouTube, and you will be banned, or CPS called on you.
Right, but I would probably still get 1 million hits before that.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so down in the bat layer, Morgan Freeman character, who, by the way, I'm a big fan of Morgan Freeman. He's a guy he's been in movies forever, and he never seems to age to me. He always seems like he's been this kind of crusty old dude with that soothing voice. But he seems very almost libertarian in his interviews in a lot of ways. Like he was talking about, he's asked a question by someone on CNN, ISIS channel. What do you thought of Black History Month?
Just call it History Month.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Like,
I saw that.
what's your heritage? Do you want a month named after you? I don't. And how do you deal with racism? Well, you stop bringing it up every 10 seconds. Stop making a big deal out of it.
That was really good.
That's pretty sweet. I haven't seen that.
Okay, I'll make sure to put it in the show notes so you can catch it. But he says a lot of good stuff like that, and it's really cool because we do movies on the show, and we're so used to left-leaning Hollywood actors telling us who to vote for, and that guns are bad, and
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they use them in every movie they use. And they all
right.
Who was the actor that said something? I think it was Gene Simmons, not an actor, a singer. He said Hollywood actors and singers, celebrities just need to shut up and act. They're talking about politics.
I agree with that.
That's a really good statement.
Yeah. The point I was trying to make before you mentioned that was that when we run into someone who has some libertarian leanings, like with our Tombstone episode, Kurt Russell has said some very libertarian things over the years. Another one is Vince Vaughn. He's very good.
Vince Vaughn, definitely. Didn't he speak at a Ron Paul rally or something?
I believe that's correct, yeah.
That's right.
And then Clint Eastwood is actually rather libertarian leaning.
Yeah.
And I think, who's another one? Tim Allen, maybe? And his
is that the voice of? Is that the guy that? Yeah, that's right. ABC canceled him. Doesn't he voice Buzz Lightyear?
Yep, sounds right. Yep.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, it's almost dangerous to be a libertarian in SJW Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's bad for your career.
But those celebrities, they don't even need Hollywood right now. They could just start their own thing. Start their own project. But, I think Hollywood has a minimum wage of $800 a day just to extras. Yeah, that's why movies are so expensive.
Yeah, but you bring up a good point because they could almost go out on their own. I mean, now that people have direct access into publishing their own content, if you've got a name or a following or a particular skill, a particular set of skills, I'll find you, I'll hunt you, I'll kill you. No, wait, that's taken. But yeah, to your point, capitalism has created this opportunity that they could take advantage of. So the old methods are dying. Like the old newsprint media and even cable news and the Hollywood.
It's all alternative media now.
Yeah, and we're kind of a part of that.
InfoWars right now, yeah.
Yeah, so we're not turning the frogs gay. So we've been influenced by Alex Jones a little bit in the past. A little less so now. He's. I
think he like InfoWars and Stefan Molyneux. They were the ones that introduced me to libertarianism as a whole, which is why I think that their views, especially on the whole Trump thing, it's worth listening to. Like with the left wingers, you don't even listen to what they have to say, like the Hillary supporters. But at least with the Trump supporters, you can kind of even if you don't agree with it. I mean, these are the same people who fought so much for liberty. Maybe what they're saying right now, you could consider it or just think about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't automatically just discount what they're saying. And we did have a certain amount of satisfaction with Hillary losing. I will admit that. But I didn't vote myself, and I wouldn't. But I was kind of rooting for the guy.
Yeah, we all wanted Hillary to lose. And with Hillary, you knew for sure that she would fuck everything up, continue the debt, continue more refugee crisis, continue bombing Syria and attack other countries like she did with Libya. And with Trump, at least he's not so much on that boat. Well, he's kind of more on there now. But yeah,
Tom Woods makes a quote: "No matter who you vote for, you always get John McCain."
Perfect example why you guys need what term limits? John McCain.
Oh yeah.
Decades now.
Yeah. He calls Rand Paul a Russian agent. That's just so stupid. An agent of Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, so let's wind back to the movie real quick. So the aside there was because Morgan Freeman has said some really cool stuff in some interviews, and he plays the what's his name in this?
Lucius Fox.
Lucius Fox. So he's now the CEO of the company Wayne Enterprises, but he's also secretly developing items and products for Batman to go out. And there was a cool moment here where they're talking about the new armor that he has, because the old armor was heavy and clunky, and he couldn't fight very well and couldn't move very well in it. And it just made me think of innovation and entrepreneurs and constantly improving and finding where your limits are, and then trying to work around them to make it even a more effective and more efficient operation. So I think that was a good kind of lesson that, he's taking on this entrepreneurial risk. He's always looking for a way to make something better. It's not like he he develops something, got a patent, and then sits on his ass for 40 years until it runs out, right?
Yeah.
Because once you got a patent, you don't have to develop it any further, right?
Yeah. Yes. That's the Thomas Edison route.
Yep. So what do we do after this? We
wasn't there a scene where they talked about public servants and how one of them was someone that didn't in Rome and never gave up their power?
Yeah, was this at the dinner?
Yeah, this is the dinner.
Right before that, though, right before the dinner, there's a scene in the courtroom with Rachel and Dent, and he's like trying a mobster, the main mobster guy, Salvatore Maroni, and the guy on the stand pulls out a gun and goes to shoot Dent, but it jams, and Dent grabs it and punches him, and then there's this line. He says, yeah, carbon fiber made in China. If you want to kill a public official, I recommend you buy American. And yeah, it's like, I don't know why this is still a thing, but there's still very much a patriotic sense of duty that we do things really well and we're really good at things, and other people are not as good, and only junk comes from other places. And
the whole nationalist, protectionist thing.
Right.
Yeah, that scene stuck out to me as well. I put it in my notes like a public servant ? Like, what are you doing that's actually positive and good? And then it says buy American, which is gross. And it reminded me of when we did War Dogs, when they made that first arms deal and they were trying to sell them. He wanted Berettas or something from Italy, and he offered in its place because of some embargo that was put in place. They offered some Brazilian guns, and the guy was like, I don't want that Brazilian garbage. I want these Berettas. They better be here like tomorrow.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah,
so,
and then after that, there goes that. There's the restaurant scene where they're kind of debating whether or not the benefits of the Batman and whether or not they need a vigilante. At one point, someone says Gotham City. I think it was like the Russian date that Bruce Wayne has. It's like Gotham City needs heroes like you, elected officials, not some mass vigilante. And the idea that elected officials are heroes is so gross.
I mean, she should know. I mean, she's from Russia, ex-Soviet Union.
Yeah, she should know.
Haven't they had enough heroes already?
Politicians are parasites.
Yeah, and right before
at best, parasites.
That's giving parasites a bad name.
Yeah.
Yeah, and right before this, when he was walking into the restaurant, he said, I've been trying to get a reservation at this place for weeks. I even told him I work for the government, as if that's like supposed to get him in, right?
Oh, yeah.
That was really annoying. But yeah, that ballerina was a total bootlicker.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's gross that you're like, hey man, I work for the government. You need to get me a seat here.
Yeah, then was it Rachel who was saying something about citizens standing up for what was right, and Harvey Dent seemed okay with that. He seemed kind of cool with that.
Yeah, in the beginning, Dent is very much proud of, I think he says something like, what Batman represents is one man's willingness to stand up and say no and fight back against crime and that sort of thing.
Right, but then he goes on to say that you might need to suspend democracy just temporarily while the crisis is happening, and that's when this, maybe it was Cicero or Caesar that was brought up by Dawes and said, once he took that power, he suspended democracy. He didn't give it back.
Yeah, he held on to power forever.
Yeah. Oh, one thing I wanted to bring up right before the restaurant scene, Lucius Fox was talking about a business deal with the Chinese, with Lau, and the numbers were a little bit fishy to the accountant guy. And Lucius was talking to Bruce Wayne and was like, Lau is doing a little bit too well. Like, he's done 8% profit for the last 10 years. He's probably doing something illegal. Like, it just stood out to me as kind of weird, because just because somebody does well, you're going to assume it's illegal. I mean, maybe in Australia, like you were telling us pre-show, it's like so hard to open a business there. But it just seems like a ridiculous assumption to jump to that conclusion if somebody's done well for a few years in a row. I mean, it turned out he's correct. I mean, Lau's dirty.
Well, but it's also true, though, that, a lot of hedge fund managers, like Madoff, when he's got a Ponzi scheme going, he'll guarantee 15% or 20% returns every year, and that's kind of how you know it's a Ponzi scheme. I'm not saying that it's impossible to do 8% annually, but that is one of the things that are kind of like telltale signs if it's just like clockwork, a certain percentage every year.
Yeah, but speaking of profits, I mean, 8% isn't that great, and there was an article I posted the other day about they're talking about doing a sales tax on all internet purchases based on where it's shipping to in the state that we live in. And so I ranted about that. So if you want to take a look at that, you can kind of get a flavor of what the low bar that's set for what gets published here. But there was a portion of it where...
Just wait till I start writing.
Yeah, there you go.
Bring it down to a new level.
But we'll add a whole new continent where we've got people from the U.S. and North America. We've got a guy in India who writes for us. So we'd be happy to add Australia. It'd be great.
All right. All good.
But one of the things I cited in there was, are you familiar with Simon Black? He does The Sovereign Man. It's a newsletter like on this liberty type stuff. But he mentioned that the Fed reports that something like 80% of all businesses in this country, in the United States, are small businesses. And then in another statistic, apparently something like only 60 or 70% of all businesses are even profitable. Robert, you can correct me on this. I don't recall exactly, but essentially the point is most businesses, especially the small ones, are not profitable. Like they're doing work, but they're not making any money. So it's hard to turn a buck.
It is. It's true. Even harder with government bureaucracy and regulations and all that crap.
Yeah. Now, I think that there might be some statistical anomalies in this because there's an advantage to claiming that you're not making any money because then you don't have to pay taxes. So there's many businesses that will run to they'll be like, all right, let's make sure that we spend as much as we can in reinvestment or whatever it is so that we can make our profit number as low as possible. Which is like kind of an absurd way to approach things, right? Like that's a total fucking distortion. Like you should be happy with having profits and you should be able to enjoy that reward rather than having to come up with some bullshit reason to spend it on something else. It's so fucked up. Anyway.
Yeah, it's another thing government distorts the market.
Yep. And I've thrown some swears in here for you, Robert, because when I wrote that article, Robert commented, he's like, hey, there's no swearing in this. It really needs it.
Well, it was a rant, and as far as I'm aware of, it's not a real rant unless you throw some bombs in there. So, anyway, let's get back to this movie here. The next thing I have is, if you're good at something, never do it for free, said by the Joker.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've got something right before that.
Go for it.
Because it's those guys who are in that meeting, and Lau is on the TV, and he's making an offer to them, and he's already taken their money to protect it without their permission.
Right.
And it's because the Joker is busting into all these banks and stealing their money. And it's all part of his elaborate plan, even though he claims to not have plans or make plans.
Actually, Daniel, no. They had a informer inside the police department because the police department's like really corrupt. And they knew that Gordon was going to come down and raid all those mob banks that day.
Oh, okay, yeah. And then they show Gordon in one of the bank vaults and is like empty or whatever.
Just raging.
Right, except for the radiated bills.
Yeah, okay, yep, got it.
Something else from that meeting. They say the mob meets during the day, and the reason is Batman, not the government or the police. The reason, Batman is the thing that's stopping them. More of a incompetent police sort of trope.
Yeah, or a bought-off police, or absolutely, for sure.
All right, so now we get in the Joker because the Joker busts in and makes his offer.
Yeah, so he says that Lau's a squealer, and he's saying that, Batman's just going to catch him and make him squeal because Batman has no jurisdiction. So he offers to kill the Batman for half of the money that they had. And a quick point about Lau being this mob money launderer guy. What money launderer have you ever heard of? Where they just dump all this money in one giant pile and put it in a shipping container. And when the whole point of money laundering is to clean it and make it not traceable to being illegal. So it shouldn't be in any one place, even any number of 4 or 5 different bank places. It should be spread out among everywhere, all over the place, and totally clean. So he's just the worst money launderer ever. I know it's a plot point that they had to have for the movie, but it kind of bugged me.
Yeah, and beyond that, he's running a successful business out of Hong Kong. I don't understand why he's doing this really half-assed job at doing the mob's money. And didn't Breaking Bad, Walter White run into this problem where he just had too much money to even be able to launder enough of it through his his car wash business?
Yeah, his car wash business, that's right. Yeah, he was being so successful. I mean, maybe that's what they're saying, is that the mob is just they have money just hand over fist, and it's just waiting to be laundered, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's possible.
And the Joker's offer, I know it's meant to be shocking, like I want half of the money, and the guys don't want to do it. But doesn't he make the point like, well, half is better than nothing? Like, keeping half your money or losing all of it. And that sort of reminds me of the minimum wage, right? Like, you can institute a minimum wage, but a bunch of people are going to lose their jobs. It's actually much better if people are able to have jobs and employers are able to get things done that need to be done, and that people can get experience and work their way up. And it's better than having no job at all, no skills, no rungs on that ladder to climb up.
And at the same time, I think the criminals are just really shitty at predicting the future of their market, because let's say they lose half their money for the Joker to kill Batman. Wouldn't that just open up so much more opportunities for them to make more money? Yeah.
They're making a certain amount of money with Batman interfering, right? And so now the deal is, all right, half of what we've made in a hampered market to get rid of the thing hampering it. Well, then, they would just go balls to the wall after that, wouldn't they? They'd make loads of money after that.
Right, yeah.
I mean,
if he's really that big of a hamper on their business, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, and it's not like the Joker was taking a cut of their future business like in Tombstone, where they got 25% of the table. This would be a 50% of what they've got right now. And then, then it'd be open season after that. They'd be doing great.
They'd be living life, loving it, making all the monies.
Yeah.
That's right. So, who's got something next? I've got
the China scene.
What's that?
The whole scene in Hong Kong when they. Oh, wait, before that, there was the scene where Bruce Wayne takes the Russian ballet team on a cruise. Just wanted to add that makes him a Russian agent hacking democracy and working for Putin.
It was Batman, everyone.
Yeah.
CNN's going to run with this.
That's great.
Rachel Maddow's going to have an exclusive.
Oh,
yeah, she's terrible.
Yeah, mad cow.
It was kind of a weird thing to have Lucius Fox go all the way to Hong Kong to do this face-to-face meeting to tell them they're going to kill the deal because of the accusations. And it's bizarre that just accusing somebody of something or having suspicion of them in a law enforcement scenario would be enough to kill a business deal. Like, that's just it has a chilling effect, even though they're purported to be innocent until proven guilty, right?
But something else that they said, like Lucius Fox says, we can't afford to be seen doing business with whatever it is you've been accused of being.
Mm-hmm. Reputation.
Yeah. And the whole point of going there wasn't for the business deal. It was so they have an excuse to be there so that Batman can kidnap Lau.
Right. Which is a good question. Like, is Batman violating Lau's private property, breaking into his building to extract him?
Yeah, it's a tough question.
Because Lau hasn't aggressed against Batman yet.
Lau definitely hasn't aggressed against Batman himself.
But he has aggressed against other people, though.
Yeah, I mean, Lau's working in stolen money, right? Or at least dirty money. I mean, what we're going to call dirty money. We don't know, because we can't say if any of how much of this mob money is legitimate, right? I mean, if it's like all drug deals, then I would say it's legitimate. But if it's or prostitution money or gambling money, that's fine. But if it's robberies or whatever, but most mob money is what I would call perfectly fine, right?
Yeah, drugs, prostitution, rock and roll.
But would this be a good explanation for that? The mob, even if some of their money is, legit or through non-violent ways, the mob itself is inherently violent and they kill a lot, like on the sides as well.
True.
And since it's their money that Lau took, and they need Lau to testify to get the mob locked up, and Lau himself is a corrupt person as well, wouldn't that just justify the whole thing?
Does it justify it for you? Are you thinking?
Yeah, I think it would.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a tough time with it because it feels like a slippery slope. I mean, everyone in the world has aggressed against somebody at some point in life, and so are we going to use that as justification for anyone to do anything to anyone? As retribution? It seems like there's a sliding scale there.
Maybe it could be on the extent that the aggression was, how harsh it was, whether someone was physically actually hurt badly or killed or...
See, I look at it as Batman was acting as an unwarranted agent of the police. Like, he knew that Gordon needed this guy back in the United States to stand trial or to testify so that they could pursue their case against the mob bosses. And so Batman is basically the SWAT team.
Right, he is the jurisdictionless cop. chasing after this guy, across borders.
So I kind of had a problem with that.
All right.
I mean, you kind of have to have a movie. So you got to get Lau back.
Something else from that scene was that the Chinese won't give one of their own, and how Lau has hired the police. What am I paying them for? Just to show how corruptible they are, and like how governments would stand in the way of nationalism, and a corrupt police stands in the way of real justice.
Right, and that's always the leftist argument, like that we pay taxes to have things like my roads and my police and my fire department. So in a way, we're all paying for the police, right? So we could all make the same argument. What the hell am I paying them for? Well, I'll say it. What the hell am I paying them for? I don't want to.
True story, buddy. So regardless of how everybody feels, we do need to move on. So Batman does bring Lau back to Gotham, leaves him on
via the skyhook, which is baller. That was awesome, by the way.
You like that? That's pretty hot. Yeah, it was pretty gangster. Just like, I'm out.
Then Harvey Dent puts away 500 mobsters.
Yeah,
that's right.
The RICO thing.
Under the RICO law, it's 549 mobsters. And there's like a scene where there's all these people. The next thing, does anybody have anything before the dinner? The dinner scene where the Joker shows up?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, go for it.
So it's related to the RICO because they're using a contrivance of law to go after all of these people based on one felony because they were all working together in some way or part of the same business deal. And it seems like that's a bit shady to me. Like, there's no way that all of those people had the same amount of collusion in the effort.
Right.
So it was a way to stick them all with something on a technicality, which seems kind of bullshitty. And then
like you charge one guy in this group with one crime, and then you say, well, these other guys are also in the same group, so we're going to charge them all the same thing.
Right, yeah, exactly. And so I have a bit of a problem with that.
What about the new guy? What about the new guy who just joined yesterday? He's like, wait a minute.
What about the janitor who just cleans the toilet? What did he do?
Right.
Not clean properly? Was that a hazard to someone, and they died because of that?
Yeah, that's the clerk's argument with the construction crews on the rebuilt Death Star. They got blown up when it got blown up the second time. But another thing that they mentioned is they can't trust the county jail because it's so corrupt and they'll get murdered or get released or something will happen. And then they say even with these arrests, you're only going to get about 18 months of clean streets. And the point I want to make with that is it's exactly right. Like, even if there was a story in San Diego a couple of years ago where they did this massive coordinated drug bust effort, getting all the heroin dealers in town, all 25 of them, all 30 of them, whatever. And they were like, we confiscated all this heroin, we shut down their operations, we did such a great, amazing thing.
And then until the next ones come, there's a clean market now. Yeah,
for a couple of weeks, you couldn't buy heroin anywhere. But a few weeks later, now just as much heroin was getting distributed and sold, only this time they didn't know who was doing it. So they lost all of their
leads.
All their leads, all their ability to...
But that's a good thing. They lose all the leads.
Yeah. It is a good thing from our perspective.
But the point is, even if you wiped out all the criminals, as long as you have the conditions of making something illegal that shouldn't be illegal, it's gonna create a vacuum that's just gonna get refilled again.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And then he makes the point that people are going to be fighting Harvey Dent. Anyone whose wallet is about to get lighter, politicians, criminals, journalists, they're all going to come after him.
Oh yeah, that happens in real life. We've seen that happen.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because they're all in on it.
Yeah, you're messing with people's livelihoods.
Yeah, so let's move on to the next thing. So this is where the Joker is trying to get Batman to unmask himself. So he's capturing the copycats, the copy bats, and killing them until Batman will reveal himself.
Right. Mm-hmm. And are you questioning whether Batman has any kind of obligation, or because it seems like clearly not?
Yeah, I am though, because the Joker is trying to use it as leverage against Batman, and in a way, the argument is that if Batman doesn't unmask, which seems to be a trivial thing to most people, because he's like broadcasting this right on television or something, that it's unmask yourself or these people are going to die. So the public opinion would sway with, well, just unmask yourself, dude, because you're dealing with somebody who's about to get killed here.
Right, but clearly Batman is not the moral actor in that scenario. That is, the moral actor is the Joker, who's putting a gun to somebody's head to force somebody else's hand.
Definitely. Yeah,
it's like later on in the movie. That's the big plot at the very end.
That's like saying, like, putting a gun to someone's head and saying, I'll kill this person if you don't go kill that other person. Like, forcing someone to kill someone, and if they don't do it, you kill someone else. Like, the whole point of the Joker is forcing Batman to unmask himself. I mean, Batman has a right to hide himself, to not reveal himself, like a small freedom for himself. And it's Joker who's putting the other people in danger. So, yeah, as the moral actor, the fault would be just on Joker.
Right. I can see how he'd be using that to turn people against Batman, but, I mean, you don't got to worry about morons. I mean, I'm sorry. If they can't see who the moral actor is in that scenario, then who cares?
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past most people to miss that, though.
I agree. But you have to have a thick skin and just go, you're wrong.
All right, so now let's get to the dinner, right? The fundraiser.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Batman is like getting behind Harvey Dent. He sees Harvey Dent as a way for him to live a normal life. He thinks Harvey is like this white knight that's going to save Gotham, and that Batman can retire and he can be with Rachel and a whole bunch of pie-in-the-sky fantasies, apparently.
Right.
So he's still under the illusion that government can solve problems and that Harvey Dent is this fantastic human being that can do no wrong. So he's having this fundraiser with a bunch of his pals, and of course he's the upper crust of the upper crust, and he only hangs out with billionaires that will give all this campaign money to Dent so that he'll never have to worry ever about any kind of re-election campaign, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And the Joker crashes it, and he's looking for Dent. And Batman, I think it's kind of funny, he snakes out of the party, and he goes and hides in his little safe room. Mm-hmm. And there's two people that are like necking and whatever, and they're like,
thank God you have a panic room. And he just
thank God you have a panic room. And he's just like, screw you. He leaves them out there, and they're like, what the fuck? But yeah, so the Joker crashes it, and he can't find Dent, so he finds Rachel instead, and we get one of the Joker origin story of his scars, and then, he threatens her. And the scene, it's one of those funny, like, Hollywood scenes where the scene just ends, and it shouldn't. You got all these rich people at this party. Every single one of them's got a cell phone. You know this. The Joker just pops up immediately. How many texts or phone calls, secret little snubby phone calls are going out? The Joker is here at this location. So Batman grabs Rachel, and Joker throws her out the window, and Batman jumps down and
slams into the car.
Is able to save her for some reason, even though he doesn't really slow their fall onto this car. But whatever.
And then he just doesn't go back up to fight the Joker.
Yeah, he doesn't go back up. No cops show up, and then the Joker just escapes somehow, just leaves. And everybody's just like, oh, I guess that happened. That would never happen in real life. But okay, I mean, in the movie it happens. And then we just move on to the next scene. Yeah, now, is there a short scene in here where that accountant from the first deal with Lau has rechecked the numbers and realizes that Fox has been doing this secret R&D stuff for Batman, and he's threatening to reveal who Batman is, and he does the blackmail thing? Yeah. Yeah, I think that's about that time. Okay, and he's like all smug about it, like, oh, I've got you figured out. He's like that smug liberal type. Yeah. And, when I saw that, I was like, well, he is offering a service, and like Walter Block says in Defending the Undefendable, the blackmailer is offering something, and you can buy it or not, But Freeman's retort is great. Like, so you're telling me that you think that this guy is going around at night beating up all the criminals in the world? The richest businessman in Gotham City is dressing up and beating up criminals with his bare hands. He's like, your secret plan is to blackmail them? What is this? Good luck. That's right. Yeah, you think he's going to baller move? Blackmailed. Yeah. And then Bruce even, saves that guy later on when the Joker puts a hit out on him. Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. All right, so then there's a scene where the Joker and the Batman, where they're talking about the Joker says that Batman's got rules and the Joker's got no rules. That's why the Joker can win. What scene is this? It's just a note in here, and I don't recall exactly where it fits in. So isn't it the interrogation scene where Batman goes through the disco place and he
throws Maroni off the building.
Could be. That definitely happens. I don't remember exactly when that scene was, what was said. The next thing I have is some men just want to watch the world burn when they're talking down in the Bat Cave, and Alfred is talking about, the Joker and what he had to deal with to find this guy who didn't care about money and whatnot. And it goes into this whole major theme of Joker being an agent of chaos and a messenger.
George Soros.
Saying that living by your rules or living by rules is pointless and stupid. That's basically what his argument is, and we'll get into that later. I definitely have a bunch to say about what is Joker really an anarchist or what is going on there. But
maybe Joker's a chaotic anarchist. The type of anarchy that says no rules and nothing. Just do whatever you want, kill whoever you want, steal people's property, nothing.
Yeah, under that I would put him as a nihilist, which is, just because there is a thing doesn't mean there ought to be a thing. So you can't have, just because people are just, all rules are people trying to control their little worlds and that sort of thing. And that's very much what the Joker is trying to say. He's trying to say that the only real way to live is without rules, because that's just you trying to control things. And you can't control things, so why even try and why bother?
And what was the next thing after this? I just have in my notes. Yeah. I just have Dent claims to be Batman.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah, but I think there was the part where Gordon faces death, where they try to kill the mayor. I think that came before this.
Yeah, the next thing I have is the fingerprints from the shattered bullet.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if is that before or after that whole.
I think that's before it.
Yeah, that was, for me, that was really dumb. There's no way you could take an imprint of the bullet and then put all these different pieces together, as if those fingerprints wouldn't have been annihilated once in the heat and the dust and the smoke and the friction from the bullet entering the wall. But whatever.
But it's just innovation. It's a technology that capitalism can create.
That's right. With all his money and his amazing abilities, he's able to create fingerprints where they didn't exist.
Now, there is some technology that comes into play a little bit later that is pretty menacing and actually exists. And when this movie was made, it was probably not thought of as actually happening. I mean, unless you were listening to Alex Jones at the time.
Yeah, only till 2013 after Snowden.
Right, yep.
The next thing I have, and doesn't matter whoever has what, I don't care, but there's somebody is saying that, I forget who it is, maybe it's the mayor, maybe it's Bruce Wayne, but he's talking to Harvey Dent, and he's like, your stand against organized crime is the first ray of hope in this city, or whatever. And he's not talking about, the biggest organized crime, which is government. He's just talking about the mafia.
Yeah.
And it would have been nice if he was actually talking about the real organized crime.
Yeah.
Right, and this was right after that. Wasn't Harvey flipping a coin to decide whether he was going to shoot somebody?
Oh, yeah, when he's torturing the mentally ill person.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, I thought that happened. That happens right after the mayor assassination attempt.
Right, where supposedly Gordon gets killed.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And Harvey steals the ambulance and is going to shoot this guy, and then Batman steps in and is like, "Hey, if you were you were the first legitimate ray of light the city's seen in decades. But if anyone had known or seen what you just did or what you were about to do, it would be all come undone." But what was the thing was that he actually did do it.
He had a double-headed coin, and he told the guy, "Heads you live, tails you die."
Oh, right. So he knew. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, he wasn't gonna.
So he wasn't going to, and Dent knew he wasn't going to, but the guy didn't know. So he genuinely feared for his life.
Right, and Batman seeing it didn't know either. And so any third party seeing this would have their image of Dent shattered.
And something about the Batman saying that, the whole thing about Dent being the ray of hope, like it's to the point that sometimes, like in a scenario, you would have to go towards some sort of government thing in the right step to anarchy. Like if there's keeping things the way they are right now versus going full communism, obviously you'd rather keep things the way they are right now, if that makes sense.
Full communism meaning with the government, right? Like not like, yeah.
Yeah, like Stalinism.
Oh, I'd rather much rather, there's a reason why I live here in the United States as opposed to,
North Korea.
Venezuela or North Korea, for sure, yeah.
Yeah. Why don't all the lefties go there then? Is it because they're not real communism, or?
I know, right? Whenever they say go to Somalia, I'm like, go to Venezuela.
Wasn't Somalia a former communist country anyway?
I don't
Sounds
know
about
that.
right.
Probably. Most of them are. But
Tin pot dictators propped up by government foreign policy.
Yeah.
all right, who's
And then
got
they say,
something else?
that's anarchy. All right, and then right after that, it's the scene where Harvey Dent claims that he's Batman, where he tricks the government and the media to get the Joker's attention.
Right. And
then
he's just the action scene, right? With
the whole scene where the Joker would have annihilated the entire SWAT team if it wasn't for Batman.
Yeah, that was weird. Like, Batman just happens to drive in front of the one missile that was going to actually hit the SWAT team car, but all the other ones didn't and just blew up regular cars or regular police cars. But whatever, who cares?
Movie magic.
Yeah, exactly. Batman just is psychic that way.
All right, hey guys, before we continue on, I feel like I'm dragging a little bit at this point, and we've got a lot more movie to do. What would you guys think about making this a two-parter, and maybe we can pick this up again in maybe even tomorrow or in a couple of days, and have it spread out over 2 episodes?
I'm fine.
I wouldn't mind. That would be pretty good.
Cool.
Because I almost feel like I want to rewatch part of this, because I'm getting a little fuzzy at this point. It's like, wait, did this happen then or later?
Yeah, it's a long movie for sure.
There's too much to analyze.
Yeah, so why don't we just do some wind into, let's wind this one down, and then we'll talk about how we're going to come back and do another one as a part 2. So we've already been going like 2 hours, I think, or an hour and a half at least.
Yeah.
All right. You want to go any further with this before we wrap up, or do you want to just leave it where it is right now?
Well, I'd like to do a wrap at the end here. So, and I could just splice something in. Like, we could just start winding it down right now, and I'll back up the recording so we can start talking about Harvey Dent stepping in as Batman. That can be our open for the next one.
All right.
Okay, so let's do that. So let's come up with something here.
Do it, Daniel. Come up with something.
All right, guys, we're about halfway through this movie, and it's already been going quite a long time here, so I'm suggesting that we should do this as a 2-parter at this point. So when we come back and do this for the next episode, we can pick up where Harvey Dent is doing the press conference. How's that sound to you guys?
Que bueno, molto bene.
Pretty good.
All right. Well, hey, guys, thanks for joining us for this episode. This is The Dark Knight Part 1. It's going to be actualanarchy.com/28. Our guest, Shahin, is going to come back and do part 2 with us. If you want to check out more of his stuff, we're going to post his Twitter handle down in the show notes page here so that you can chat with him if you'd like. He's been a really great guest so far. You're welcome, and he's already suggested that he would come back and do yet another movie on top of coming back to finish this one with us. So we're not going to do our overall review of this just yet. We're going to do it at the end of the next episode. So I just want to say thank you guys very much for coming on. And if you have any parting thoughts you want to mention, feel free to say to the audience, and then we will say goodnight.
All right. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, likewise. I figured this one might go a little bit long. It's a long movie. There's a lot of things to cover, a lot of in-depth philosophy to get into, and the morality of it all. It's all murky and messy. And so, yeah, come on back for the next half. It should be a good one.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think the next one is going to be where we get into all those philosophy questions, because I feel like there's so much to talk about there, and I'm just dragging already at this point. So I think it'll be good to come back. So thank you guys very much. We have been the Actual Anarchy Podcast. Check us out at actualanarchy.com and readrothbard.com. Click on any of the Amazon links to help support our site. We've also got the Tom Woods Liberty Classroom links. I've started doing a daily history type thing of events over the course of time and famous people who've when they've been born and when they've died. So that's a new thing I've been adding to the website. So that's at actualanarchy.com. And thanks again for listening. We'll catch you on the next one. KAPOW!
Take care.
See you next week. Same bad time, same bad station.
the chipmunks. CHIPMUNK. We're the chipmunks. Guaranteed to brighten your day. Do 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 do.